Hello, everyone. Hello, Joan. You're in control of the chat today, are you? Watch out. Hello, Karen. Craig told me he'd be running late, and I said I hope that you'd save him a bottle. And I'm looking forward to catching up with you guys tomorrow. Hello, Peter and Karen. Welcome back. How are the icebergs? That was an amazing picture you sent me. Hello, David. I'm a bit nervous about this new computer, but it seems so far to be doing okay. What have I done? Oh, God. Okay, stop fiddling around with the computer and get on with Drinks with Kate, I say. How is everyone? We've got eight people logged in today. It's feels like life's getting busier again, doesn't it? It's nearly Easter. I just bought all my excellent. Good to hear, David. Hello, Kay. How you going? Yeah, I just bought all my Easter eggs. Very proud of myself for being organised. And yeah, it's nearly the end of daylight savings. So in a few weeks' time, we'll be doing this in the dark. And yeah, time to drink some Pinot Gris. It's a beautiful day today, though. It's been very autumnal down here, which is lovely. The ornamental vines are turning red, and the vines out in the vineyard are still green with some golden leaves just coming through. It really is one of the most beautiful times of year down here once the really hot weather goes away. But I've got to say, it was a little shock to the system waking up this morning and it being 9 degrees when I got up this morning. And the house was cold. It was crazy. Hello, Alison. Lovely to see you. Very autumnal. Perfect opportunity to drink this beautiful rose-coloured Pinot Gris Skins 2023. Do you like what I did there? I always think of this wine as being quite an autumnal wine. It's a good summer wine, but it's even better when the sun's still shining, but it's not too hot outside. Hello, Sarah. How are all the tricks? Lovely to see you. Oh, Shell's back too. Lovely to see you. When did you get back? I've been seeing beautiful pictures of you back in Japan again. Lots of exciting travel. Homemade tacos tonight. How delicious. Peter's cooking up the filling for our homemade tacos out in the kitchen. The dogs are all calm and collected for the moment, so I reckon we should get this thing. Maybe as I shouldn't be too cold. You shouldn't be too cold, David. Absolutely. So I've got my beautiful glass that Linda got engraved for me. I think I showed this to all of you another time, but it's rather gorgeous. And what we have to do is the wine shouldn't be too cold. That's correct. That's why I like it in autumn, because you don't want it too cold. You don't want it to be too hot outside. Temptation to serve the wine too cold. On a nice, sunny, cool afternoon, this wine, it's come out of the wine fridge at 16 degrees, which I think is absolutely perfect. And let's get some wine in the glass, as the glass says. Let's get this open. So the 2023 Pinot Gris and Skins was only bottled in late December, and we released it very soon after we bottled it, because sometimes wine recovers from bottling quickly and sometimes it takes a little while to get over it. But this wine, happily for us, is a wine that doesn't need a lot of maturation in bottle after it's gone in to be ready to drink. And we've been enjoying it all through summer. I think compared to the 2022 Pinot Gris on Skins, it's got more colour. It's more it's redder. It's less orange, I think, than the 22. It's got a little bit more pink blush to it. And it's got this gorgeous vibrancy to it. Every time Jeremy would show this to me before we bottled it, and I'm like, is that the Pinot Gris on Skins? It's so deep in colour. And he's like, yeah. This is what you say every time. But it is. It's got wonderful colour. And I do think this is one of the best that we've made. So very excited to be drinking it with you guys tonight. If you've got tacos happening, then don't be afraid to have a little bit of chili on your tacos. Never go too crazy with the chili or the chili sauce with the wines. I think they can really have to fight hard to deal with it. But this wine copes with a bit of chili much better than most of our other wines. It is a raspberry colour, Alison. Thank you. Yeah, really beautiful. Last of the summer wines. It's got this gorgeous aromatic. It's very strawberry fruited on the nose. It's got lovely rose petal lift. It's got more, I think, more fresh rhubarb to it than the previous vintage had. It's funny because I had a bottle of the 2022 at home just last week, and I always loved that wine, but it's going through a little bit of a dull patch, and I don't know how much that's to do with the wine just being a bit subdued at the moment, which these wines do sometimes do, but also because this wine's so vibrant in comparison, and I have been tasting this quite a lot to get the tasting notes together and things, so I'm expecting this much bang for my buck now. Jelly on the nose. Raspberry jelly, Alison, or strawberry jelly? It's got a sort of strawberry jube, sweet kind of aromatic to me. I kind of agree with you on that. But I do find it's quite floral as well. Nice legs. I know. It's got some really lovely texture to it. And I'm swirling it a lot because it's quite a young wine, and even though on the nose it's really delicious, I just want to get some air into it before I put it in my mouth because it sort of needs it. Leonie and I were talking about, I hope you're there, Leonie. Leonie and I were talking just this afternoon about this wine and how it kind of evolves over being open for 2 or 3 days. And when it's freshly opened, you get all that vibrant kind of sweet fruit and florals and richness. And then with a little bit of air, it's 24 hours open. If you drink, I don't know, drink half the bottle and leave the other half of the bottle till tomorrow, you get some very different you get more Pinot Gris kind of quincy kind of notes coming through. It's almost like a quince paste kind of aromatic that comes through with that extra air. So it's still a kind of jellied kind of a concentration of sweetness and slightly quickly cooked fruit. So not stewed fruit, but fruit that's just been quickly cooked so that it changes its aromatic, but isn't too jammy, if that makes sense. It's jelly rather than jam. For me, is quite different. Kay's gone with a bit of El Paso, a bit of chili in them. It's really lovely with the wine. Absolutely. How are you, Kay? I realised last week, sometimes I look back on the sessions just to kind of make sure that I said everything that I was supposed to say. And I realised, Kay, that you're making all these really good comments, and it took me ages to get around to responding to them. So I'll try and keep up with the comments a little bit better this week. Okay, with that air, that kind of really kind of jelly crystal strawberry character has settled down. It's nice to see you this week too. We've had lots of visitors during vintage. It's been awesome. All of you who've come to see us and come to check out what's going on in the vintage and having a bit of a wine tasting and that kind of thing. It's been pretty fast and furious out there, and we're just starting to feel like we're getting things under control. Everything's picked. Everything's fermenting nicely. We're getting lots of things finishing up and being pressed off and going to barrel. And once everything's pressed off and going to barrel, then that's the end of vintage, basically. Alison, this is one of my favourites. I like the savoury aftertaste. Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a little taste. It's still, quite savoury on the palate, which is why I was trying to get all that air in, because it does bring some of the fruit out a little bit more. The more air that gets in it, it just kind of softens the tannins. There's a little bit of bitterness on the finish still as a young wine, which is why it works really well with food, and which is why it works really well with chili, because the tannins are there and they're quite firm, but they're quite fine. The acid is not too high, so that's not going to fight with the chili. And that little bit of bitterness in the fruit profile on the finish works really well with certainly this recipe that I sent out, the sweet corn in the recipe and the chili. And if you've got chorizo, David, you were saying that Fiona left you ingredients for a chorizo rigatoni with blue cheese sauce, which sounds rather delicious. And I think chorizo could work really well with this, although it could sometimes chorizo, particularly spicy chorizo, can maybe be a little overwhelming for the wine. So just be a little bit careful. With that. But it is a wine that really kind of handles quite rich, meaty flavours, as well as a bit of chili, as well as a bit of all sorts of things. Wasn't too spicy. Good. Kay, your UK friends enjoyed it. I was sorry that I didn't get a chance to have more of a chat to Ken. He seemed like he was in the know. Works for a brewery in the Midlands. How fabulous. Well, I hope that they are having a lovely trip in Australia, and I'm so glad that you brought them, so thank you. All right. Pinot Gris on Skins 2023. Marketing and ad man. Haha. So the 2023 Pinot Gris on Skins was a wine that we decided to make more of. Now, what have I done to my hair? Whoops. It's really not behaving today. Anyway, there we go. We'll just woof this side up a bit too. There we go. Beautiful. The wine spent 20 days on skins, David. So it's a bigger batch than we've usually made before. We made twice as much in 2023 than we made in previous years, which is exciting because it means that people are enjoying it. And we basically make it in exactly the same way that we make Pinot Noir. So the fruit comes in, it gets, now in 2023, we handpicked the wine, Dad. Yep. So we did a little experiment with machine picking in a previous year, but in 2023, the fruit was handpicked and it's destemmed, and the fruit goes into a fermentation vat or two in the case of the 2023, because we made 2 vats full of it. And we cover it up and leave it to start fermenting at its own time. It usually takes about 5 days to get started. This year, the 2024 Pinot Gris on Skins, like everything, started quite quickly after about 3 or 4 days, but usually it takes a little bit longer, and we rely on the natural yeasts to do the fermentation. So once the ferment starts, we will give the Pinot Gris a pump over, and if you follow Mooruduc's Instagram, I always put up a little video of the pump over because I think the colour's really pretty, and it's just a lovely little kind of pumping juice back up over the skins. You get this lovely sort of water feature kind of effect, but it's not water, it's pink Pinot Gris, and the colour comes out of the skin quite quickly. So you've already got quite a lot of colour in the juice, but over the period of fermentation, which is usually about another 8 to 10 days, while it's fermenting actively, we'll plunge it twice a day, stir up the skins with the juice, and just make sure that everything's all mixed up, because we want to extract quite a lot of flavour and tannin and colour from those skins. So that's quite important. Once the ferment's finished, we cover it up again and leave it to soak for a few more days on skins post-fermentation, called post-fermentation maceration in the winemaking game. And then we press it off like all of our red wines, and the fermented wine, because will be completely dry by then, it's wine, goes into barrel and spends about 10 months in barrel. While it's in barrel, it doesn't have any sulfur added to it, so it goes through a natural malolactic conversion during that 10 months, and then we get it ready for bottling with some sulfur. If we need to give it a little coarse filter to brighten it up, then we will, and then it goes to bottle and it's ready to go. So this is the result. I just think it's such a lovely style of wine to make. It's lots of fun making it. It's lots of fun drinking it. And oh, crumbs. Try not to spill it on the new computer. That would be very sad, wouldn't it? The computer's 2 days old, so it probably doesn't need a drink of wine yet. But most of you know the story behind this Pinot Gris on Skins, but very briefly, it's a wine that we've been making since 2015. We made our first one. Hello, Cotty and John. Lovely to see you back from a few days in the big smoke. Did you enjoy your little holiday in town? Would an aged cheddar? No food. Goodness, an aged cheddar would be fine. Would brie or aged cheddar be better? I reckon probably brie with this wine, but you might want to try them both. Hello, Nareem, and all of the dyes, and hello, Hannah and Jack. Good to see you. It is such a beautiful colour. Everyone's coming in now. Great to see you. So we first made this wine in 2015. I'd been sort of I claim full responsibility for bullying Dad and Jeremy into us making this style of wine, but none of us really knew if it was going to work. I think Dad and Jeremy both thought it was going to be a bit of a disaster. I was hopeful that it might be good. Oh, good. Home for a holiday. Excellent. But we really didn't know what was going to happen. And back then, I don't think the orange wine or the natural wine movement was really doing any favours for white wine, skin contact white wines out in the world. There were some pretty horrible ones out there. So Dad and I and Jeremy, but mostly Dad and I, had big discussions about it. And finally Dad said, look, here's half a ton of fruit. What do you want to do with it? And I said, well, can we just make it like Pinot Noir? And in 2015, we were a little bit gentler with it than we are now. We didn't give it quite as much plunging. I can't remember if we put the first one through malolactic fermentation, but I think we did. Yep. But it was just one barrel, so it was a little parcel. All my tacos are coming. Thank you, Peter. Gorgeous. Okay, guys, I have to show you this. This looks amazing. It's good having your own personal chef, isn't it? Look at that. Hey, with my little bit of feta to sprinkle over the top and some lime to squeeze over the top. I'll get onto all of that in a minute. But from 2015, we were quite amused by the results. We thought it showed some promise. We were surprised by the aromas and flavours that we got. We were quite intrigued by it. We kept tasting it and saying, "It's pretty good, isn't it?" And Dad was like, "Yeah, I think it's good." And we were just a bit perplexed because it was so different from anything else that we made. And so we didn't show it to anyone really in that first year, but we were encouraged enough to do it again the following year in small quantities. And we finally went, okay, well, let's bite the bullet and show it to people. And the people that we showed it to liked it as well. And I think that the first person that we showed it to was our friend Barney Flanders, whose Skinsy Gewürztraminer you guys have had, and he was very impressed. He liked it a lot, and that was nice because we trust his palate. We think he's got a pretty good palate, and he's a bit more adventurous, a bit further along the path than we are with these Skinsy white wines, and probably we won't ever kind of catch up to him on that. But he was very encouraging of what we were doing, and so we kept doing it, and we now sell most of the Pinot Gris on skins through Cellar Door here to you guys and to our Cellar Door customers. We sell a tiny bit through our Victorian distributors, but it's a bit, because it's so different from all our other wines, it doesn't quite fit into our portfolio for a lot of people. They get a bit confused by it. Our Brisbane customers love it. Our Brisbane distributors love it, and they've sold probably more of it than any of our other distributors. I thought it would go well in Sydney, but I think it's probably not edgy enough for the natural and skinsy Sydney crowd. But, maybe we're just not showing it to the right people. I did show it to Sophie Otten, who is quite a famous sommelier who's Sydney-based, who has her own wine bar now in Sydney, just 2 weeks ago when I was up there for the International Women's Day, and she really loved it. So I'm hoping that we might get a little bit more traction with discerning people in Sydney as well. And it does really well actually also over in the UK, amazingly. And America now is getting onto it. So that's one of the reasons that we're making twice as much in 2023 and 24. It's still not huge quantities, but it's enough that we can sort of, share it out amongst all of the people who want some. Our American distributors love it so much that they wanted to buy more of this than our Pinot Noir in their last order. I told them they couldn't because they need to sell more Pinot Noir. But, it's really pleasing that this wine is appealing to people so much. And I think it's a really nice pigeon pair to the Pinot Noir in a way, because it's Pinot Gris, but it behaves more like a very light red wine to my mind still, particularly this one. As Karen said, the colour is quite deep and rich, and the wine itself seems kind of deeper in flavour and stronger. She'll turn the price up for Zinnia Fly off the wine list. I know, Shell, absolutely. Jackie, it's very pretty. It is very pretty. The colour is gorgeous and it is pretty delicious as well. So I love this wine on so many levels. It is a little bit more tannic and is a little bit more bitter than the previous one. And I think that will soften out with a little bit of bottle age. I don't think it's going to get much of a chance to age in bottle though, because it's so delicious to drink right now. I'm going to have a go at having a mouthful of one of these tacos. So this could be quite messy because they're quite big. It is absolutely rare and lovely. So $100 US a bottle. I agree, Kay. I think that we need to. Well, I just said to them, look, you need to buy more of our wines that we make in larger quantities, and then you can have an allocation of Pinot Gris on skins. You know, one of the things that we did do a little experiment with last year that didn't make its way into this wine, but did make its way into bottle, which we're not quite sure what we're going to do with it, but it's pretty edgy experimental wine. Richard and I decided to do a little parcel of this wine as a whole bunch ferment, because you know how much we love a whole bunch ferment here at Moorooduc, particularly Richard. We did it in a little plastic demijohn and hand kind of squished it, and during the winemaking process, it kind of got quite hot, and then it got a bit cold, and we had to heat it up, and all of that. It was quite difficult, the whole bunch wine, and it got a bit stinky. And we pressed it off and put it in a glass demijohn, and it sat around in the glass demijohn for what, Dad? About 6 months, 12 months nearly. It was a long time, nearly 12 months, because just before vintage this year, Dad had a few little jars of wine that he had to hand bottle off, and he and Jeremy had a discussion about the I don't think Jeremy's here today. He's off at Harmony Day with the kids, but if you're there, Jeremy, I don't think I'm slandering you, but Dad and Jeremy had a little discussion about this wine, and Jeremy said, oh, it's dreadful, throw it out. And Dad had a taste of it and went, oh no, actually I think it's quite interesting, so he bottled it anyway. So we might pull out a couple of bottles when we do Drinks with Kate Live or something like that. How many bottles did you end up with? A few. Not enough to send you all a bottle for Drinks with Kate, but enough to open a couple when you're all here. So we'll work on that for later in the year, because it's quite interesting. It's probably not a style that we're going to be pursuing on a larger scale. We didn't do any whole bunch this year, but we've made, we think probably, well, it's still fermenting, so it's too early to say, but we're pretty happy with the smells and the flavours and the colour of the 2024 Pinot Gris on skins, and we've made a lovely white Pinot Gris from some of that fruit as well, which is pretty much finished fermenting and is in barrel and looks delicious. So we're quite excited. I'm still disappointed that we haven't done a late harvest Pinot Gris this year, but it wasn't really an option. And it got too hot at the end of the vintage and everything would have got cooked. So I don't think we would have got any, but we certainly wouldn't have got any botrytis this year. And it just would have turned into Pinot Gris jam rather than anything exciting. So we'll hang out maybe for another year to try and do a late harvest Pinot Gris. Jeremy's also not sure whether we'll be able to get the right balance of acid and pH and things in a hyper ripe Pinot Gris. I'm still keen to just give it a go and have a play, but I'll have to fight a bit harder for that one, because I don't think I've convinced either of my winery colleagues. Dad's looking at me and rolling his eyes at the moment. Right, what are people asking? On a blind tasting, what do people think it is? Jackie, it's really interesting. If you give people a proper blind tasting, so put in a black glass, a lot of people, or have them blindfolded, they taste it and they can't tell whether it's red wine or white wine, because it does look like a very light red wine. When they look at it and then taste it, they're always surprised, because it's Richard eye roll must be a maybe, surely. Absolutely, Kay. I reckon I can twist his arm. He hasn't said absolutely no yet, and that's just more of a challenge for me anyway. We'll do something fun. This vintage is definitely riper than previous ones, Nareem, and I know what you mean by more jammy. It's got more of that kind of on the aroma profile. At least it's more it's more cooked fruit. It's more jelly. It's more there's sort of sweeter notes to it. Was it significantly riper, Dan? Was the fruit significantly riper last year? Because it wasn't a particularly hot year. People are just saying that it looks a little jammy or a little bit sweeter or a little bit richer. It's certainly got more colour to it. Yeah, it was an excellent vintage across the board. And I do think that the skin's got a lot of colour in them, which is why we've got so much colour in the wine, which is pretty awesome. Cotty, the breeze better, worked well. The aged cheddar would fight with the wine. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Kay's getting the rhubarb now in the second glass. Now, I just smelt it again after it's sitting here, and it got that real kind of, I don't know if you guys ever had Callard and Bowser nougat. It was something that we used to have at Christmas every year when I was a kid. It was something that Dad was very fond of until it started pulling his fillings out. And Callard and Bowser nougat has got lots of almonds in it. It's got a lot of vanilla in it, and it's got these glacé cherries that are rose flavoured, and then the rice paper around them. And I'm getting a real Callard and Bowser character on the nose from this wine now, that nougat-y kind of character. Second tasting, Joan and Karen are thinking the floral notes are now totally subdued. In the mouth, it feels like the tannins, but not strong tannins. Stronger, yeah. That's the best description I can get without Craig. It's a good description, Karen. The wine is definitely heavier. It's richer. It's deeper. It's my dream nougat too, Alison. I know it's not artisanal, but it's kind of quintessential nougat for me in my mind. And yeah, I used to buy it for you at the cinema. Yeah, well, I have childhood memories of it as well. Alison, it says every time we drink this, but the first year I tried it, 2021, the nose was tomato. We haven't had that nose since. Is it not made anymore, Alison? That's very disappointing. I think that 2021 was quite a cool year. So maybe that tomato kind of aromatic was due to the fruit being slightly less ripe. I think we try quite hard. And also, to be fair, I think 2021 was maybe a different fruit source. I'm kind of looking at Dad. This wine and last year's wine was from Duns Creek. So 23, 22, 21 might have been fruit from Osborne's. Dad doesn't think so. Anyway, I think that this is 13.5%. It's right, but our Pinot Gris usually is 13.5 to 14% in a normal year. I just think maybe because of the year that last year was, we got a lot of flavour and a lot of intensity. The berries were quite small as well, which would explain why the colour is so intense and maybe also why the tannins are so firm. All right, I'm going in with Pale Blue Box, absolutely, Peter and Karen. I'm going in with my taco, so you're going to have to excuse me because it's quite big. I'm not going to put the whole thing in my mouth, but I'm just going to go over to the side over the plate. Yum. That's really good, Pete. Thank you. Did you put the herbs in? Yeah, nice. Yeah, I put some cheese on it and some beautiful. It's a really lovely flavour profile with the wine because it's got the chili kind of kicks in just right at the end. You get the sweet corn and that green zucchini juiciness on the front palate and the corn in the tortillas as well. The lime juice just adds a little bit of acid to the mouthfeel, which is really nice. It's not too much. The little bit of feta gives a bit of creaminess, and all of those things work really nicely with the tannins and the flavour profile of this wine. It's really yum. It makes the wine taste more savoury as well. I don't know if you're finding with your whatever you're eating that the food kind of subdues the florals and the jamminess and brings out more sort of savoury wininess. That's not a very good description, is it? It's a bit more vinous. It's got more of that sort of red wine kind of savouriness to it when you have it with food, which I think is rather nice. Alison, there are some evil people in the UK who said they bought the recipe, but don't be fooled, nothing like Cullen Bowser. Okay, I shall not bother. I shall not bother trying it then. Cotty, I think you would love these tacos, definitely to make it. The tannin's quite strong on the second glass. The chill subdues it. Okay. Jill, I wonder if you could bring me over the bottle again because my glass seems to be leaky. Hey. Goodness me, I've got barky dogs. Everyone's disappeared except for Jill. I know, it's dreadful. Well, where's everyone else gone? Goodness me.
No,
thank you. They've all gone. Obviously, I'm being boring tonight. Yeah, look at that. I handed over to 3 of them, and there's that much left. Shocking. They can go shopping next door. I'm having the last of that. David, are you drinking yours on your own? Are you? That's I think it is one of the dangers of this wine. Hello, Craig. How you going? Lots of structure, very elegant. But I've made a mess of this glass. I've got smudgies all over it. One of the problems with this wine is that it's so easy to drink that it does slip down very easily and quickly. So don't forget your glass of water because we do get the Pinot Gris quite ripe when we're making it. As Dad said, it's 13.5% on the bottle, I think. 13.5. You guys have all got 13.5 there. Oh, Linda, you're there. Look, I'm using it. Finally. Woo! Last time I pulled it out, Linda wasn't even watching. So there you go. Fiona is at 100 year of Frankston High Book Night. Oh, good. Excellent. Frankie Town. I don't understand, David. She's in the book. Oh, okay. Cool. Okay. Got it. Oh, well, that's a good reason to not be here. And a good reason for you to be drinking your Pinot Gris on your own. Frankston High School, 100 years. Got it. I hear that Frankston High School is doing very well at the moment, and it's a great school to go to. So that would be a very exciting reunion to pop over to. Okay, so what else can I say? Pinot Gris on skins. It works really well with the tacos. It can work really well, as you know. Oh, thank you, Kay. I do feature in a great book. It's called How to Drink Australian. The only thing about that book that I find difficult is the line drawings, and the line drawing of me, I think, is just dreadful. But the line drawings of everybody else is also not very pretty. So anyway, works well with selection of hot sauces. That's what I was going to say, that you could drink this. So Jill made beautiful lunch. So we're very lucky here at Moorooduc. We get spoilt with food during vintage. And Jill made us a beautiful lunch a couple of days ago of Portuguese chicken. So it was brine chicken that was then covered in paprika and herbs and spices and barbecued, and then served with hot sauce. So quite spicy, quite flavoursome, lots of flavours going on. And I reckon that this wine would work brilliantly with that sort of a dish. So sort of barbecue chicken with hot sauce can work really well. It works beautifully, as you all know, with works beautifully, as you all know, with charcuterie. better with brie than aged cheddar we've discovered tonight. Thank you to Cotty and John for doing that experiment for us. But it's just such a delicious wine to drink. And it reminds me of the fruit sweetness that we're seeing in that wine, and that's kind of playing all around the mouth and giving you that richness and brightness. Reminds me actually quite a lot of our 2023 Devil Ben Creek Pinot Noir, which we also bottled at about the same time, and we've also just released, and we are going to be drinking that next week, I believe, sometime in this box anyway. And the 2023 Devil Ben Creek Pinot has got that kind of richness and concentrated sort of almost liqueur fruit drive to the flavour profile, and this kind of sweet liqueur kind of character in the mid palate, even though the wine's completely dry. It's rather delicious and rather sumptuous in the mouth. Chardonnay, then Pinot. Okay, thank you, David. Sounds good. I moved things around because I'm going away for 2 weeks in the middle, and I wanted to have the Devil Ben Creek Chardonnay 1 week, and then the Kimi River Village Chardonnay the following week, so we could kind of compare and contrast, or at least try and remember what the other one tasted like, because I think they're quite similar. Well, they're similar price points, they're similar kind of philosophies, but from 2 different countries, different winemakers, obviously. But Michael Brakovic, who makes the Kimi River wines, I think I've mentioned before in Drinks with Kate, is one of my favourite Chardonnay producers in the world, and he just won winemaker of the year at the now what was it, the Wine Magazine, or the something Massive Wines involved with. It was announced at Pro Wine last week anyway, so that was pretty cool for him, and very well deserved. So we're going to be drinking his entry-level wine down the track as well. Jackie and the Littles are having truffle manchego and brie and sausage rolls all working. Wine nearly finished here too. Yeah, absolutely. So easy for this wine to just slip down the throat and disappear. It's not so terrible. I tell you what, also on a hot day, so I was pouring this wine up in Sydney, as I said, a couple of weeks ago. It was a really warm night. It was a beautiful evening, and I served this wine with just a little bit more chill on it, and it was very refreshing. And I got a lot of really positive feedback from the visitors at the tasting, because it's a little bit different from what a lot of people are doing, and it's also just a really delicious, yummy, lovely wine to sip on. It doesn't tire your palate out. It changes enough in the glass and on the palate to keep our interest, but it's not heavy, it's not too rich. It's just a very friendly wine. So that could explain part of the reason that it disappears so easily. I'm just going to have another bite of this taco because it's too yummy to leave to get cold, although I've just made it all fall apart. Hang on a sec. Oh, it's quite a big piece, sorry. That makes great television watching, Kate. Trying to chew through a big piece of taco, but it was delicious. I know the Kimi River single vineyard Chardonnays are very expensive these days, David, which is why we don't have one of those in the box. They're also quite rare. But the Martes vineyard, which is the vineyard that's named after Michael's father, which is his top wine, is absolutely exquisite. The Hunting Hill, I think, is absolutely amazing too. But just their everyday Kimi River Chardonnay is usually pretty special too. The problem is that because he's becoming more famous and because the wines are getting more recognised around the world, he's not making more of these select single vineyard wines. Just sort of, he's got to share it around more people. So it means it's harder for us to get hold of. So if you are a fan, or if you're interested in trying them, very good to get your hands on. Anyway, we'll see how the Village wine is in a few weeks' time. I haven't actually tasted the 2023 vintage, which is what we're tasting. So it'll be a little bit of a surprise for me too. So fingers crossed that it's as delicious as the 22 that we drank quite a lot of over last summer. Yum, delicious. So I feel as though we're really on the cusp of proper autumn coming through. And we're going to go from wanting light, bright, crunchy, salady, feta cheese and tomatoes and all of those kind of lovely summer flavours. We're going to be wanting richer, more warming food very, very soon. So I'll keep a close eye on the on the weather forecast before I choose a menu for next week. And I think that, as I say, this is one of my favourite times of year, because you can have a lovely sunny day and then a cool evening where you can just enjoy a lovely wine and something a little bit heartier food-wise. So Chardonnay next week. Is it the 2022 Estate Chardonnay that we are looking at? I really should check these things before I come online. Kay, can you help me? Peter and Karen, thank you. I'm glad I get to snack as well. I'm very spoilt. Buy wine. Devil Bend Creek Chardonnay, is it, Leonie? Okay, cool. That's weird. I thought we'd decided to Really? I thought we'd put something else before that. Peter's not helping either. He's over there. Okay. Moorooduc Estate, Devil Bend Creek Pinot Noir is what we are doing in week 2, I believe. I moved them around, so I might have put it in the wrong order in the letter, perhaps. I'll have another look at the letter that I sent out. It's Devil Bend Creek Pinot Noir next week because we're then going to do the rough play Pinot in week 3, and then we have 2 weeks off, and then we're coming back after I come back from the UK to do the Devil Bend Creek Chardonnay and the Kimya River Village Chardonnay in week 5, and then the McIntyre Vineyard Pinot Noir in week 6, the 15. So I will make sure. Why has it gone dark all of a sudden? Hang on. I've got to work out what's going on with this new computer. It keeps turning the brightness down while I'm talking, which is slightly annoying. Anyway, that's all right, David. That's absolutely okay. But I think I may have sent you the wrong order on the letter, because I was being very indecisive about what we were going to do when. But we are next week doing the 2023 Devil Bend Creek Pinot Noir. I'll send you a reminder on Monday with that in place, and I'll find a delicious food match to go with it. It's going to be awesome. Until then, I'm going to go away and finish off my little glass of Pinot Gris on skins and eat my second taco and leave you all to this beautiful afternoon. It really feels like the golden hour. I feel like I'm getting this beautiful gold light coming in from the vineyard, which is rather gorgeous. Dimming is related to screensaver. Thank you, Nareem. I will change my settings before next week. I'll get it sorted out. Thanks, everyone. Love you all. Enjoy your evening. Everyone here says bye. Thanks. Great to see you all. Cotty, you didn't miss much, but yeah, lots of Kate's waffle as usual. Lovely to see you guys. Take care. See you soon.